Welcome to Oddball History, dipshits.
A boom, 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 boom.
How?
I like the tone.
How are we going to live without the boom, boom, boom?
Will we do this? But today we are doing the Oddball History podcast, Salute to Apes.
A salute to apes. They're our fine furry friends. We like, man and ape have been working side by side for a long time. And frankly, we wanted to get this episode out in case of any ape revolution as depicted in Planet of the Apes.
Just in case.
Just they know we're
Same
cool.
Same team, dude. Same team.
We're cool.
Yeah.
We salute you guys. So we'll hopefully get like some cush jobs in the human zoo.
We'll be house people.
That's right.
Yeah,
well,
that's the goal.
That's the goal. Yeah, you want to get in good with your ape overlords. That was what we had in mind when we started the pod, and that's what we have in mind to this day.
We just
that's
had
the
to
whole
get
point.
60 episodes deep before we started doing the actual goal.
We couldn't make it obvious.
Yeah,
the apes, they would understand.
You got to be subtle.
You can't just do flattery to them. They pick up.
We are doing Ken Allen, the Harry Houdini of the San Diego Zoo.
Ken Allen is one of my favorite stories I think I've come across in doing this.
It's very fun. And then we're doing Ham, who has a funny story. We'll get to it later.
Astro Chimp.
The Astro Chimp.
The first chimp that went to space. He was not the first chimp that was in orbit, but he was the first chimp, the first ape in space.
Yep. That's impressive.
Pretty impressive.
And then we are doing Koko the sign language gorilla.
Mm-hmm. He talked in his own gorilla language.
Yeah. And also turns out kind of didn't.
Yeah.
And Penny was a crazy lady.
It's a big
ordeal.
It's a big thing.
But first, we're going to do the top comments of the week, brought to you by our AI overlords.
Bring them out. Bring them out.
So we're going to start. I always like doing an AI written joke, so enjoy.
Welcome to this week's roundup of top comments. We've sifted through the latest discussions to bring you the most engaging and thought-provoking insights from our community. But first, some AI jokes. Many of the most talked about topics was the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. Why did Israel and Hamas go to therapy? Because they needed to work on their border issues. Now for the top comments brought to you by Oddball History.
This week we're going to start with some mean comments that I enjoyed.
All right.
Yeah, so this one kind of was random on YouTube. This was on a podcast posted January 1st. Episode 39, the chiropractic episode.
Oh, no.
About D.D. Palmer being a crazy person.
I remember that.
And so this is from
that guy.
This is from SC Vegan.
Okay.
So it's going to be annoying. And the clip was a crazy thing D.D. Palmer said, and then Scott did a Meredith Brooks joke at the end where he just goes, I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child.
Oh, yeah,
do you remember
that's
that
right.
clip?
I do remember that.
Yeah, from the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. And so this lady just got to it yesterday. She goes, your research is very lacking, probably on purpose. But if you read a little deeper, you'll find important context you're leaving out. Chiropractic was in the beginning stages of development and was quite literally persecuted by medical doctors and the government regulators who sought to destroy the chiropractic profession. This was proven in federal court where the American Medical Association was found to have conspired to destroy chiropractic, Wilk v. AMA. D.D. Palmer was getting creative on how to protect chiropractic from the persecution and influence by Miss Eddy and the Christian Science Church. He was advocating a religious exemption. D.D. Palmer's son, B.J. Palmer, didn't agree with this path, and eventually chiropractic won in court on merit. We're not done yet. We got...
This is a book.
She wrote a book. Chiropractors were being thrown in jail for practicing medicine without a license. It was a big deal at the time. The letter you're quoting from in this clip says as much, that D.D. was talking about establishing a religion for purposes to protect the profession, not establish a cult. You ready for the final?
Oh,
what do you want to say?
So it was a religion and not a cult.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh,
sorry.
I like that every cult ever would have said that shit about themselves. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
It's not a cult. It's more like a new way of living. You're like, no, that's a cult.
That's how cults start.
It's the old King of the Hill joke.
But and then the final line, it doesn't take more than a basic reading comprehension to figure that out. She had to get a jab in at the end.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. Also, Dee Dee Palmer's ghost's burner. That's clearly
Is BJ Palmer still alive?
SC vegan.
Yeah, you're a vegan.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
No, you're a ghost.
Check if the IP
you're the
address is
ghost.
in Iowa or not. Then we'll know the answer. And then the Highwayman clip.
Oh, yeah.
Got a lot of traction on social media with that one.
Yeah, people are upset.
Half of people were in on the joke.
Yeah.
That it's a silly twist to
Yeah.
go, oh, we're flying through the stars now. I'm a spaceman.
Yeah.
And the other half of people were like, you fucking
You don't get the song.
You don't understand it.
Yeah.
So one guy said, a perfect example of why freedom to post stupid stuff has ruined our world.
I don't know. if
Seems
that's-
dramatic.
It seems like a lot.
Also, the world seems pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's ruined, but not for that reason. I mean, we're like way down on the list.
Yeah,
we
pretty
might be
low.
on the list, but we're far down.
Not number one.
Definitely not number one.
And then I wanted to do some funny ones. Farm Welding commented 2 name puns about Terrar
All
on
right.
2
Bring
separate
'em on.
clips.
I don't remember him offhand.
One was about Terrar eating live animals.
He loved that.
And he said Terrar, more like Terrare, and rare at the end was in all caps.
Yeah,
Now, that
all
on its
right.
own, I don't think Farm Welding would be included in this. But then 2 days later, on a separate clip about Terrar smelling bad, he goes, more like Terrank,
Yeah.
because he ranked. So for volume punching, you're on the list.
I appreciate
Nick.
it. Yeah.
And then Velvet Spectre, our old pal Lindsay, I was literally laughing about this for multiple days.
Which one? Which one was it?
She just said some I forgot what the comment was about, but at the end she goes like, FYI, love Scott's new fuck-ass bob. Yes. Talking about your haircut. Which I am an old man.
appreciate.
I'm not hip with the kids. That was my first time seeing, hearing, or reading fuck-ass Bob.
Yeah.
It tickled me pink.
It's a fun term.
It's a fun term.
I was pretty tickled myself.
I then
gotta
did
say.
more research into the term fuck-ass Bob.
Yeah.
And within that, I found more fun slang with she is mother.
Yeah, I know that one.
That's a good one.
See,
That's
dating
funny.
a younger woman. I've picked up on a few of these.
Yeah. Also, serving cunt.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
I know about
Hilarious.
that one. I sound like such an old. I know about that one. I've heard it. I've heard the young.
The kids are saying these days.
Oh, the kids are talking cunt.
The cunts on plates. We understand. And then the coolest was Dan Maitland, also on the Highwayman. As he goes, today I was cruising down the Autobahn between Kassel and Frankfurt, and this song came on my Spotify. As I was cruising at 115 miles per hour, and you know what I wondered? Did they argue over what verse they got to sing? Was Cash like, shit, dude, seriously, I got to be the spaceship guy?
I love that one.
I love that one just because the statement didn't need the preamble about I'm kind of doing cool shit right now.
Yeah,
But he included it because he is doing cool shit right now.
yeah,
So
I would too.
God bless him.
I was cruising
So yeah.
USA or Germany, as it were.
Yeah. So now we shall begin the ape talk.
Salute to apes.
Salute to
we
apes.
love you, apes. Been doing big stuff for a long time.
Long time. So let's start with Ken Allen, the hairy Houdini.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
So-
Ken Allen, a Sumatran orangutan.
Yeah.
Born and raised at the San Diego Zoo. And he became locally famous for all his escapes.
Yeah, he like the hairy Houdini. First off,
Yeah,
solid
great
Yeah,
name.
good
Great
newspaper
name.
headline. Harry. Guess how they spell Harry? Am I right, gang? Huh? He's an ape.
As like
All
because
right,
of the
you guys
hair.
get it.
Because
Yeah,
they're covered in hair.
they get it, Scott. Leave them alone.
I mean, I just thought
Yeah.
they might be thinking like, wait a minute, but Harry Houdini was just the man's name. Are you saying Harry Houdini was an ape? I'm lost already. I wanted to just clear it.
Are we apes? Are we greater apes?
This was orangutan.
Yeah.
Houdini.
Harry Houdini. He was hairy, and so when he was younger, he figured out how to like unscrew the screws of his cage.
Yeah.
And so he was always very polite. Mm-hmm. Like he undid his cage and then would play with his toys, and he got in trouble And then he figured out how to unscrew his cage, play with his toys, and then before the people came back, he would then reassemble the cage.
Yeah.
And just be like, I don't know, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah,
huh?
he would go out and play and wander around the what's it called?
The zoo.
His
Enclosure.
his nursery. That's the
yeah.
word I was looking for. Nursery. Yeah, and so he's always been a Houdini.
Yes.
And actually, his very life was the result of a narrow escape. He was being suffocated. He was being attacked by his mother.
Yeah, he was very sick.
As orangutans sometimes do, I guess. And and a zookeeper and a security guard saved him, and that's why he's named Ken Allen. The one guy's name was Ken, and the other guy's name was Ben Allen.
Yeah.
So your name is Ken Allen.
I like it.
And he was a goddamn hero from day one, you know?
And then once he grew out of the nursery and went into the enclosure, he was able to escape that too pretty regularly.
Yeah, his first official escape was June 13th, 1985. He climbed the retaining wall of his enclosure and then just walked around the zoo for a while as if he were a
While
guest.
in business hours, there are people around yelling, "Hey, there's an orangutan! Is this is this an exhibit, or is this like a one we can play with?"
And you know Ken Allen's thinking like, all right, if I just play it cool, I bet nobody will even notice.
I think that's part of the reason why he got so famous was he was very calm and just literally cruised around looking at the other animals and was like nice to people and like didn't bother anybody.
Yeah, he would he would go and look at the other animals and have a great time pretty much, and then they would find him and lead him back to his cage. But his second escape,
well, so after the first escape, they were like, I think he needs some company. So they put him into an enclosure with other orangutans. But there were two males in it. The other one was named Otis, which Otis comes into the story again because he's his nemesis.
Yeah, see, I didn't have down on my timeline when they actually ran across each other first.
So, because the second escape is when he circles back.
Yes.
So there's multiple females and two males. So the males obviously fight, and then they have to take Ken Allen and remove him. But he always has a burning hatred in his heart for Otis.
Yeah, he hates Otis. So on his second escape,
he does the same thing where he just cruises around, checking out the elephants, having a fun day at the zoo.
Having a great time.
He's just having a beautiful stroll, you know? Until he gets to the orangutan enclosure.
Yeah, and they find Ken Allen pelting his enemy Otis with rocks. The normally peaceful Ken Allen.
Yeah, once he saw Otis, he was like, man, fuck Otis.
Fuck this guy. I hate
my ladies.
Oh, man, I hate this guy.
Yeah. You think they could have divided him up a little bit? Like 2 ladies for Otis, 2 ladies for Ken?
You would think
Call it a
so.
day.
Yeah, it was weird the way they handled it because eventually, in among the escape attempts we're going to talk about, at a point they realized that Otis having the 3 female orangutans with him might have made Ken Allen jealous. So they put 4 female orangutans in with Ken Allen. And then rather than it making like Ken Allen stop escaping, 2 of the female orangutans then escaped.
He began teaching them.
Yeah.
And so then the next escape, and by this time he's like, they think they're going to get in trouble because, you know, the zoo just has animals getting loose and people are going to get freaked out.
Yeah.
But everyone ends up loving Ken, and they like run newspaper articles. The San Diego Zoo's packed.
There's a fan club called the Orang Gang.
Again, names hilarious.
So
We're killing
funny.
it, guys.
So good.
Yeah.
There's a song written about him, a folk song.
By like a professor locally. It's not very good. But
the guy sounded really hilarious because he was talking about how like the inspiration worked, and he was like, it took me like 10 minutes to write that song. Like that's how touched I was by Ken Allen.
It's a beautiful thing when the muses strike you. You're not in control of when that happens.
Exactly. In 1985, a friend of mine called and said, have you heard about Ken Allen? I hadn't, Gersten says. She told him the story, and quote, by the time she finished, the wheels were turning. I said to her, I've got to go now. Thanks for calling. I sat down with the inspiration pumping and wrote most of the Ken Allen song in 10 minutes. Okay, and the lyrics of the Ken Allen song, I beg you to look them up.
We'll play the song here.
never speaks too much. He has big old hairy hands. He's got a lifetime sentence for some monkeying around. He said no bars could hold him. Now that boy is jungle bound. Oh, Ken Allen, bad Ken Allen.
They're
seem like they were written in 10 minutes.
they seem like they were written in 10 minutes. I gotta say, it's not one of those that was like, wow, 10 minutes. It was like, wow, what did you do for the remaining 7 minutes that you
this
had
was clearly
after
one take you ripped off.
Yeah. And it's like, does Ken Allen not deserve a rewrite, you know?
Yeah. Let's get the Smashing Pumpkins
coming
on
down
it.
really-
Come back together.
Coming down really hard on this guy for...
Just random guy.
Yeah.
But and then there was they're in an enclosure, everything's good, he hasn't escaped in a while, and then there's a maintenance man that
It's like, I don't know nothing about nobody.
don't mind little old me, Ken Allen, I ain't do nothing wrong. But then a maintenance guy leaves a crowbar in the enclosure.
Can't do that. That's like hanging a curveball to Barry Bonds.
Doink! It's going out. It's going out of the park.
Yeah. So yeah, and was this the time he threw it? That
Yeah.
they saw him and he was like, he by this time, Ken Allen knew that he was being watched by
They
zookeepers.
literally
so they
had to outsmart him.
They had to start dressing like tourists, going undercover.
Instead of the little zookeeper outfits, they would have jeans and Hawaiian shirts on and just be watching Ken.
And Ken's like, that's clearly an undercover.
That's an undercover.
I
I ain't doing shit. So he drops the crowbar. He's like, I don't even know what a crowbar is, dude.
While looking right at him, like they do in the mob films when they see the guy tailing them, and they're like, fucking watching you
Watching
too.
you.
I know it's you.
And so then Ken with one of the lady chimps ends up cracking a window with the crowbar.
Yeah, he throws the crowbar to a lady chimp called Vicky, and Vicky jimmies a window open, and Ken Allen escapes. Ken Allen had his ladies working for him.
Oh yeah.
It was very, very kind of a Charlie's Angels scenario.
Ken
a
Allen
little
kept the
bit.
hand strong.
It was,
all right.
He's a Dolomite type character.
When Ken Allen collects, Ken Allen collects. All right. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yep.
And then so he's chill for a few years after this until he they have to, every time he does this, they have to enforce the security.
Yeah, they go back to square one. And
They spend
$40,000
$40,000 just souping up this enclosure so they can't get out of it.
Yeah, they have a team of experienced rock climbers come in and identify every finger, toe, and foothold that they could within the enclosure. It all costs $40,000.
Which they bring rock climbers in. Monkeys aren't better at us than climbing.
Yeah.
It's just make it smooth.
A little insulting for the orangutan.
How about just a wall? I might be crazy here.
For the orangutan, it's it must be when Michael Vick would hear that whoever was playing him in practice, leading up, they would be like, oh, Jeff Garcia is playing Michael Vick in practice for whatever team, and Michael Vick hears about that and he's like, really? Jeff Garcia? Y'all think this is preparing you?
Yeah.
This is how Ken Allen feels watching these human rock climbers identify. He's like, you guys don't know shit.
You don't know shit about shit. But so they end up getting the job done though, because at the top of the thing they put electrified fence.
Yeah,
and
they
Ken
put
just touches it one time and he's good.
Yeah, he was like, all right, I'll wait. I'll bide
wait.
my time. That's fine.
You'll think I forgot about escaping. You'll think I'll be happy.
That's fine. I'll figure it out.
And then one day they had a maintenance issue and the moat that separated where the people are versus the orangutans dried up. Mm-hmm. And Ken made his final escape.
Ken's like,
Across the dry moat.
that's a freebie. He just walks across the dry moat, jumps a single wall, which for our guy Ken, that's nothing.
It's nothing. And so Ken ended up dying actually at, how old was he? He was 40 or something, or 29. He was 29 years old.
Yeah, in 2000.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he,
long, healthy life.
Yeah, he kind of settled down in the 1990s, and apparently
A lot of people did, grunge. You gotta grow up eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently he liked to pass his time sitting in his pen flipping Children the Bird.
Yeah, we'll put a picture up of that. It's very funny.
Which that was a great bit.
That's a good
That was
bit.
really funny.
Who taught him this?
What bad guy wrestler was an influence on Ken Allen?
And so the next one is I love his name now is HAM, which is like an acronym for like the
Hamilton Air Force Medical.
Yeah, like the unit
Center.
that was in charge of him. And so, but originally, he was the first chimp in space. But originally, which props to the U.S. government for having some foresight on this, his name was just number 65.
61.
Was it 61?
I think it's 61.
I thought it was 65. Doesn't matter. But he just had a numbered the chimp he was born as because they didn't want to name him until one of the chimps came back alive.
Yeah, they got.
They were like, people are going to get more mad at us.
Yeah, they're like, we
if
should.
like Fuzzy the chimp gets murdered.
Yes, exactly. Number 61 died is a lot less heartbreaking
than Timmy the chimp.
Yeah,
you know? No, not Timmy the baby chimp.
Little Timmy Bananas. Timmy Bananas died in a horrible space explosion today.
Fiery ball re-entering the Earth's atmosphere.
His bow tie was incinerated immediately. Yeah,
I love the bow tie.
That's very smart. I gotta say
that was smart.
A lot of times in history, you read stuff and you're like, "What were they thinking this time?" I'm like, "Yeah."
It always makes you wonder of how many of those first 60.
Yeah, it was
didn't quite make it to space.
It was a very, it was a cutthroat kind of training camp for these chimps. There were like 64 of them or something, and they were cutting down. And by the time I started reading about it, there were like 6. Yeah. There were like 3 female and 3 male. And number 61, Ham was
our guy.
He was one of the best.
And they literally, Ham the chimp in 1961, he did his flight into space. And they strapped his little ass to a big rocket.
That's right.
And they shot him into space.
That's right.
We used to be a proper country.
That's right.
You know?
Suborbital flight, part of the Mercury Redstone 2 mission. Exactly. We used to shoot chimps into space.
Just
because it was important. To shoot chimps into space better than Russia could shoot chimps into space.
You shot a dog into space?
Yeah.
We'll one up you. Ours got hands. How do you feel about that?
And wears a bow tie. Or did wear a bow tie.
Before it was incinerated.
In space.
But it immediately goes awry where they launch him.
Yeah, they launch him at the wrong angle.
And so he gets way more G-forces than they previously expected. Mm-hmm. Like modern astronauts hit like 3 to 4 because they figure out how to like do it a little slower with more burn.
Yeah.
And then like fighter pilots can get up to 9, but only for like seconds at a time while vertical because you can train for it, but you'll pass out. And old Ham hit 17 Gs going up into space.
Yeah, man. He saw the face of God.
Yes.
For a minute there. For sure. He was never the same. No, he was kind of the same actually. When because he did his flight, and then because of the wrong angle, they overshot the splashdown zone by 132 miles. So it took him like 2 hours to find Ham in his capsule.
And the capsule had a hole in it, so it was filling with water.
If they didn't get there soon, Ham would have just drowned. But instead, they do make it in time. And when they find Ham bobbing there in his capsule, his arms are crossed, like he's just hanging out. And they give him, I think they gave him an apple. They gave him an apple, and he took it and ate it just like he was like bored as shit. Yeah. And as I read this in a section of The Right Stuff by Tom Wolfe. And he is talking about how like this 2 hours of bobbing up and down in the ocean was probably like the best 2 hours of this chimp's life. His entire life
poked and prodded
has just been getting shocked or banana pellets, depending on if he did the right thing, but mostly shockings and confinement. And
because that was also a thing, like the point of the test was to see how life would handle going into space and all the G-forces and the travel and being up there. And so they used a chimp because they could train it to perform tasks and then compare how they did the tasks in space versus on land. Yeah. And so they had a little system rigged where he'd see a flashing blue light and had to touch a lever, and then a banana pellet would come out and he'd get a little snack. But then if he didn't do it in the 5 seconds, they would shock his feet.
Shock to the feet.
Yeah. I'm just imagining this chimp, they mess up the launch angle. He's pulling 17 G's. He can't get to the lever, and they're just shocking the shit out of his feet.
Oh my God.
It's pretty dark.
Like, imagine Apollo 13 if they kept getting their feet shocked. It's just Tom Hanks going, fuck,
And then they said, once they were looking over the data, they had 2 errant shocks in it. They just accidentally shocked
that
him a couple
happened
times.
all the time. That happened on the orbit, the one that went into orbit. Wieners, the second one, he was number 85. That happened with him. They like shocked the shit out of him, and he was like pressing all the right buttons and stuff. And then
throw him off.
Then they were worried because when Enos came back, Enos had high blood pressure, but then they realized that he had just had high blood pressure all along because the stress of his life was like immense, and he just was a chimp with very dangerously high
Just
blood
a
pressure.
stressed out
had
chimp.
nothing to do with space.
Yeah.
Just had to do with his
Good enough.
awful life here on Earth, you know?
I was reading the Wikipedia as part of this, and they had a very detailed thing about like his monitoring system. And they had a rectal thermometer that they
Oh my God, yeah.
specified was inserted and placed 8 inches deep into him.
In his butt.
Which I don't like the specification of how deep this thing was.
Yeah, I don't
Just
see
tell
why
me
that
we
was
had a
necessary.
rectal thermometer
Yeah.
in him. Don't
Yeah.
tell me like we really worked this thing in there.
Yeah.
I don't need that detail.
Parentheses girthy as fuck. And you're like, that was a detail.
This thing was a real piece of
not.
machinery. All right, it's old ham bone could handle it.
Poor Ham.
And so
poor Enos.
they took him to the National Zoo. I don't know, the one in Washington, D.C., the zoo there. And he lives a normal-ass chimp, lived a happy life, died at 25.
Hell yeah.
That's a long
Shout
life
out
for a
Ham.
chimp. So there you go.
We love you, Ham.
That brings us to probably my favorite one. Maybe I think the most famous one, too, is Koko the Gorilla
I love Koko.
of Robin Williams fame.
The books were a big influence on me as a boy.
I don't remember those books.
Oh, you don't remember the books? There were 2 books. One was Koko, the talking gorilla. I don't remember if that's what it was called, but it was just kind of an introduction to Koko. And
feels
then
like a
the
good
sequel
title.
was Koko's kitten, and Koko got a kitten named Oddball.
Which they laughed at. That meant she could rhyme.
Koko was born July 4th, 1971 in the Gorilla Town section of Lower Manhattan.
Yep.
I'm kidding. There's
Like I
no
said,
Gorilla Town.
You caught me saying yeah. Just like I didn't read that part. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be funny, though, if there was just a neighborhood in Lower Manhattan that was all gorillas?
That's how the Planet of the
Anyway,
Apes starts.
Koko was born in the San Francisco Zoo, unfortunately, not in Gorilla Town.
Yeah.
July 4th, 1971. Koko is a shortening of, what was it? Banico. It's like, it's some reference to fireworks.
Japanese word for fireworks.
That's
and
right,
So the
because-
ko at the end is shortened to Koko.
Like born on the 4th of July.
But then Francine Patterson becomes the lifelong partner of Koko. She's a PhD student in San Francisco and goes to do a paper on Koko, and it turns into a whole lifelong journey of teaching this gorilla sign language. Mm-hmm. And there's movies and TV appearances and all this stuff.
Yeah, and 78 is when they really burst on the scene. He's on a cover of National Geographic. It's one of 2 National Geographics Koko got. Not bad.
Not bad.
Who gets 2 National Geographics?
Not bad for a lowland gorilla, you know?
Not at all.
But in the great twist, it turns out, what did she go by? She didn't go by Francine. Penny
Patterson.
She went by Penny Patterson. She was kind of scamming everybody, and Koko really didn't know sign language.
So you claim.
So I claim.
No, there's like a lot of controversy over how much Koko was, because there's a lot of it's like methodology stuff where they're like her testing wasn't like rigorous, like she had a very loose.
Well, it's like dogs can do this. Like even like you just say like sit, stay. They learn to associate words with things and actions. And you can teach a dog to like, those people with those crazy pads where you think the dog's talking.
Yeah, it's operant conditioning.
Yeah, but it's just like walk.
Which is what they were doing with the chimps.
Yeah.
Shocking their feet and giving them banana pellets.
Which so they can associate words with things and like be able to do that. But then Penny, they really shut down all the funding for chimp studies because Penny has still refused to release any of like the raw data or footage.
Really?
She's like, just you can't find it. It's only like her specifically releasing things because he is just kind of randomly saying words.
Yeah.
And it's like they're like 90% of it was related to his name and eating.
Yeah.
So he'd say, Koko, eat. And then he'd like pet a cat.
Coco's about vibes, you know?
He'd pet a cat and say like sunshine. And he'd be like, oh, he loves the cat. That's what he means by that.
Yeah.
And they did criticize her a lot for, it took a lot of her having to translate for him. Where it was like he would say a bunch of like, he'd just throw 90 words out and she'd be like, that means this.
I didn't realize that he had a green-winged macaw friend that he named Devil Tooth because of its beak.
Yeah.
And then the zookeepers came along and they changed it to Devil Beak and then DB, which I'm like, you guys suck. I hate
Devil Tooth. That's awesome.
Hate you guys' censorship of
That's
what
like-
Coco's calling this.
That could have been the bad guy in Land Before Time.
Yeah,
You know?
Devil Tooth. A thing I did not. Well, first, Koko, of course, as you mentioned, he had a bunch of celebrity friends.
Yep.
So many celebrity friends. You had Bill Cosby, Kevin Spacey, P. Diddy, Harvey Weinstein. I mean, real straight on down the list.
Who's really the
No, I'm kidding.
mastermind behind all these crimes?
No, I'm kidding.
Some people think it's Koko orchestrated. How much English did she know? Could she orchestrate a web of sex crimes for decades? More at 10.
I think she could have.
I think she could.
I'm just a believer in Koko. Like,
We keep calling her he and she. Was it a man or a woman?
it was a she. It was
Okay.
it was a woman. It was a
Pretend
woman.
like
It
all
was
the
a-
time I've called her he.
It was a female
I'm misgendering a gorilla.
It's one of those things where like all cats are girls and all dogs are boys.
Yeah.
You know, like it's kind of like
Good
that.
boys.
Gorillas seem like dudes. You know,
Yeah. That's
the way
our
they stand.
internalized misogyny showing.
That's
Look at
probably
us.
true. But I'm gonna skip on by that.
We're just gonna shove that back down for a moment.
No, Koko though she had no problematic. She only had good celebrity friends.
Yeah.
She like Betty White and Robin Williams. I did not realize Koko. There was a bit of controversy with the Gorilla Foundation, the foundation that oversaw Koko.
Yeah.
There was apparently Koko had a bit of a fascination with nipples,
I love this part.
and she would ask to see people's nipples when they would come and visit her, like female employees of the Gorilla Foundation. And then apparently Penny would be like, like show
Which
her.
leads me to believe,
Show her.
because there is a lot of controversy about how much interpreting Penny was doing for this gorilla, and she never had children of her own because she was too engrossed in Koko's life. And so is she just a freak and wants to see some titties? And it's just like, hey, Koko said, you got to pull them suckers out.
Maybe. Could be.
That's what my mind
I'm
jumped
not
to.
willing to dismiss it out of hand. They
We know the list of associates of Koko already.
yeah, we do.
Not a good list.
It is not. Her silence is deafening. No, it's not because she's dead. She died in 2018. Now the Gorilla Foundation has no gorillas because Michael had died in like 2000, I think. And then Ndume, the other male, was there with the agreement that if Koko died, then Ndume would go to a different zoo. So Ndume went to that different zoo, even though apparently Penny tried to hold on to him, which is a real theme with
Chimp crazy
ape
a little
fans.
bit. I think this is why this episode happened, is because we talked
Once
about
you
Chimp
get-
crazy for 6 episodes.
It's been a real theme in my year. I watched all the Planet of the Apes earlier
Yeah.
in the year. Yeah.
So this is the salute to the apes is our moving on.
Yeah. So the Gorilla Foundation has no
I do love
gorillas.
just all the controversy with like there was other chimp and gorilla studies going on, and like the chimp study was just like, we can't teach these guys anything. Like, how are y'all like 2,000 words? Is this the thing talking? But they actually did it scientifically and like released raw data and showed people their methodology. And they were just like, oh, we got nothing. I don't know. You can teach them like to sit and stay and some things, but and then
Nim
Penny was just
Chimpsky.
like, nah, you can't see my data, but Koko can talk.
You can talk.
Yeah.
Did you see Nim Chimpsky, the Koko of the chimp world?
Yes.
he lived in New York City. He was a very metropolitan chimp, but he learned some sign language in his time. Even though don't look up his Wikipedia, by the way, horribly sad. It was really sad.
Yeah.
But
suicide by cop.
Nim's longest sentence, they had it on Wikipedia, and I wanted to share it with you all. Nim Chimpsky's longest sentence: give orange me, give eat. Orange me eat. Orange give me eat. Orange give me you. And I think that says it all.
That's pretty poetic.
Really. Yeah. Especially the give me eat, orange give me you part.
Yeah, because he's communicating.
He was, oh man, he was cooking.
You know?
I love it.
It really makes you think about our place in the animal world.
Nim Chimps. Leave it to Nim Chimpsky.
Which this was.
I'm obsessed with saying Nim Chimpsky too. It's just so fun to say.
And so, but this is essentially what Koko was doing as well. They just kind of scammed people a little bit more. And so they had in 2015, Koko had a famous thing where she warned the world about the dangers of climate change. And I have, it was her last.
It was her last message to the humanity, world, and it was very Ruth Conda forever.
Now
if you're familiar with Twitter,
think of reread the first part of the Nim Chimpsky sentence.
Give orange me, give eat orange, me eat orange. Give.
Now Koko's final message was: I am gorilla, I am flowers, animals, I am nature. Man loves Koko, Earth Koko love. But man's stupid, Koko cry. Time, hurry, fix Earth, help Earth, hurry, protect Earth. Nature, see you. Thank you.
Yep. Now,
that is when moms post things that their kids say on Twitter that they clearly did not say.
Yeah.
Where, it's like when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died.
Ruth Conda forever.
A 10-year-old said Ruth Conda forever.
Struck the Wakanda pose and said Ruth Conda forever.
Like, 10-year-olds into Supreme Court justices.
Yeah. Oh, that one was.
Or it's like, my son the other day he rolled over in his crib and said, man, I really hope Kamala Harris wins because that'd be a giant step forward for women in this nation to believe that they can accomplish anything a man can do.
Yeah.
And then he shit his pants.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this was.
That's right.
Yeah. You can't prove it.
Yeah, it's a really funny bit by it's kind of like audacious.
Yeah.
Like it's too much. They should have done another rewrite that was a little more gorilla-esque.
More gorilla-y. I think they there's a bunch of articles about it where they were like, yeah, we did it. We took some license with it because it's very jump cutty. So they kind of pieced it together which again was what they did is Koko would spam shit out and then they'd kind of arrange it and be like, see, it's pretty deep, right?
Yeah, Koko actually believed that man-made global warming is a myth.
Yes.
Everybody, he's not really on record, but he was on a lot of message boards making that point. The
first censorship on YouTube was Koko.
Really aggressive.
Being like, this is bullshit. The Earth's been hotter.
He's a big denier. Everybody, that was like the third thing I learned about
You ever
Koko.
heard of the Ice Age? That's not good either. It gets hot, it gets cold. We're good.
That's right.
But do you have any final thoughts on the salute to the apes?
Apes, they've had a rough go.
Apes together strong.
They've been shocked and prodded and, shot into space. And they've taken it in stride.
Yes.
And we thank them for it.
That is very sweet.
That's my final message to the future ape overlords that are watching this. We love you, chimps, and we're sorry for the things.
We're sorry about that.
Our scientists probed you with.
So I wanted to, thank you, chimps, and our future overlords.
Sorry about the 8-inch probes.
Why did they get so specific on this girthy ass probe? So I wanted to. Have you seen the Colin Allred commercial with him tackling the lady?
No. Okay. I don't think so.
So I'll play this just because I thought it was so funny. Colin Allred's a Democratic congressman running against Ted Cruz and not taking a political stance. This is just a funny commercial that Ted Cruz made that you're like, idiocracy's coming true, and we're just doing skits and bits,
Keep your eye on the ball. Ready? Okay, that's okay. Concentrate.
Texas girls are tough,
You got this. Let's do it again.
but they're facing a new opponent they can't beat by digging deeper. Colin Allred could have stopped men from competing in women's sports, but instead, he voted against our daughters. What kind of man does that?
First off, they start playing Transformers bad guy music.
I love a congressman that makes you pay for going over the middle, frankly. So
That's how he knows he's going to be tough on crime, is because he's tough over the middle. All right?
That's right.
I just love that they got a body
Hilarious.
double of him to menacingly stand up after knocking a lady over.
Brutal.
I just saw that and I was like, we watch TV when we eat meals at the fire station, and the election's coming up, so there's a painful amount of political ads all the time. I'm already sick of it.
It's always fun streaming sports games because you get them from whatever random market. So you get the political attack ads that you have no reference for, really. You can kind of tell what's going like
Seattle's mayoral race is going off.
Yeah, it's always funny to just hear out of context that you're like, they're like, Paul Jenkinson is a piece of shit. Yeah. You're like, I don't know
who Paul seems like an okay guy.
I don't know either of these guys.
Yeah.
And then I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm streaming the game illegally.
I thought that one was hateful, but at least had like a little humor to it, you know?
Sure, yeah, I like it.
We're in Texas, so half of them are like, an illegal immigrant murdered this child. Mm-hmm. This politician let it happen. It's all of them.
Yeah. A shocking amount. A shocking percentage.
You hear that 14 times a day.
Brutal.
And speaking of politics, I had a thought where I was thinking of, Trump's had 2 assassination attempts. Reagan had an assassination attempt. We had 2 presidents get assassinated. Somebody threw a shoe at George Bush, very comically. That was serious.
Yeah.
And if you think about the number of guns and people,
more assassanations,
like 400 million people, half of us got guns. I am shocked there aren't more. We never give ourselves a pat on the back for the lack of assassination attempts. Yeah. They're not hard.
Yeah.
You just got to be within like 200 yards of a guy and take some shots.
That's right.
And it's not happening every day. This is a beautiful country.
America never gets credit for the violence we don't do.
I like this. Is a good thread. Yeah. We need more positive affirmation for the violence we don't do as a country.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, think about it.
Yeah. That's enough for politics for me
Keep
today.
on the sunny side of life.
Yes.
That's what I always say.
What's going on with you?
I feel like an old man because I have a new Andy Rooney complaint about the world at large.
Okay.
Have you noticed you can't go in a store, any kind of store anymore, without like people bothering you in polos that either about your phone plan or some other shit?
Yes.
In Target, they sit in the back in the electronics and they come up and talk to you about your phone plan. And then at Kroger, they have people with like petitions or something out front. You get bothered everywhere you go, and I've had enough of it. If I were Andy Rooney, I'd go on 60 Minutes and bitch about it for 7 minutes straight.
7 of those 60 minutes are going to be about this minor inconvenience in my day.
It is time for In Other News, friends. And
I had a couple dick thoughts.
Sure, all right.
I'm having some dick thoughts lately.
All right.
Which I always laugh. We both do this club called Backdoor Comedy Club, which, funny, it's got an anal innuendo as the name, but it is a clean club. Mm-hmm. And so you can't do dirty jokes. And whenever I go up there on Fridays or Saturday nights, I will look at my notes that I've been writing for the week. And then a lot of times I'll look at those notes and be like, uh-oh, you've been thinking about dicks a lot again, Jimbo. I have 9 new jokes that I cannot do here unless I say wiener for some reason, which might be funny. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, though. I think wiener kind of takes it. If you're trying to do it in passing, if it's not that the joke is you're calling it a wiener, it kind of, I don't know.
I think it's an added layer of, if I no longer curse, I just say wiener and Johnson.
Wiener.
So as a fireman, I had to go to an academy, and it was, 60 dudes, and we all had group showers like in a high school. like when you played sports.
Yeah.
Which I think that's pretty limited to like fire and police academy, like joining the military or playing like higher level sports of when you're an adult that showers with other adults in a group setting.
Yeah.
And there's the code of the locker room is just to, don't be a cock watcher. That's a thing.
Yeah.
But I have a theory that you really only notice the big ones and the little ones. Out of the corner of your eye, you'll just be like, ooh, you'll see one that kind of hurts your feelings a little bit. You're like, Jesus Christ. And then my theory is regular size wieners are like Japanese porn. There's a natural pixelation to it. They just blend in. You don't even notice them.
All right.
You only notice the extremes of the spectrum. Scott, your stance.
Sure. That you have cock blindness.
Yeah.
To average hogs. I think that makes sense,
Yeah.
It's like the idea of like the gray man, like if you're being a spy, you want to just be
blend in, be normal.
Unremarkable in every way and how you dress. That's these medium-sized hogs. Yeah. They're just going around there, probably some ex-mobsters in there.
Yeah.
Living a quiet life as a medium-sized hog.
Just being a medium-sized hog, just blending in the background.
New York will never think to look there on this man's lower torso.
I'm just a regular wiener. I didn't do nothing to nobody. All right?
I'm just a regular schnook. Some of the dicks say.
And my final.
That's pretty good. I like the dick has to be remarkable.
Like having an aggressive stance on it.
I don't even see them if
it's not remarkable. I'm not even
in either
looking.
direction.
Yeah, it's got to be creepy little or weirdly big for Jimbo to look at a hog. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dazzle me.
An average hog don't impress you much.
That's my verse in that song.
Yeah.
And my final wiener thought was we were just laughing. I've been on the dumb zone a few times, and I feel like every time I end up talking about dicks. So now we're bringing it home to our podcast. All right.
Sure. Yeah.
I had actual relationship advice for anyone if you're in a relationship or you want to help out a guy that's having a bad day. For the ladies or the men out there, it's how much would this improve your day if you're kind of down, a little depressed, and your girlfriend just honked you? Just gave you a little honk, and then just went, nice. And then just left the room.
Oh, yeah. I think that would be a great
You'd be
pick-me-up.
buzzing for hours.
Yeah.
That's like an immediate... We're simple creatures is the point I'm making.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd put a spring in my step.
Yeah. Before a job interview, your man's got, just honk, nice.
It would become such a thing that, like, if you saw a guy on the street smiling real big, you'd be like, your wife honked you? And he'd be like, you know it, man.
Off.
You know it.
What's your love language? It's honking.
I like a woman who honks the tip.
Just a little honking.
A little honking on Bobo, as Aerosmith would say. That would give it a whole new meaning. They had an album called Honkin' on Bobo.
They had some weird ones. What's the Cat of Nine Lives or something? Remember that one? Yeah. All Aerosmith.
And then putting your daughter in the super sexy videos with...
Weird move. What was she just in?
Silverstone.
Lone Star 911. She's in Lone Star 911.
Oh, yeah. We got to watch some Lone Star 911. We should do, like, some watch parties. I just saw a clip of... it wasn't a clip. It was a screen cap from this season of a woman who got a harmonica stuck in her mouth. I was like, how have we not returned to this show?
Yes. We do need to go back to Lone Star 911 in all its glory. I still can't get the station guys to like get on board. I'm like, guys, it's funny. If we watch it as a goof, it is then funny.
Yeah. And they're like, we don't even want to
entertain
What if somebody's
like, you guys
what if somebody's happening by the fire station and they look in and see us watching it? They won't know we're watching it ironically. That's where they're coming from.
We'll write this down as training time for the day. We'll talk through what they're doing, how we do it in real life. That's training, all right?
How you stop a burrito fire at a
if Chief calls, we're saying we're prepared for whatever.
That's right.
But
harmonicas and mouths. Bang.
Frozen people.
Frozen people whose chests just collapse.
Yeah. But do you have any closing thoughts for today, Scott?
I was Yeah, I was watching the movie Big the other week.
Good movie.
I love the movie Big. I was asking myself, I wonder, and I don't think I am. I wonder if I'm a good enough friend to, if I was 13 or 12 or however old Josh is in that movie, and my best friend, like a grown man, showed up to my middle school and was like, "Hey, I'm actually your best friend." If I would be a good enough friend to like take it, because he knows the song, remember?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, it must be him." But even then, I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm letting that slide, because that you got to be really sure.
Yeah.
You got to be really sure on that one. It goes the other way.
And that can go south fast.
You're in the principal's office, and the principal's like, "Well, Billy, the man you mistook for your best friend molested all our students and 4 teachers."
You really let the fox in the henhouse, Billy.
And you're like, "Well, apologies. I do feel bad about that, but he knew the fucking song.
He knew the song.
He knew the song. Get off my ass, all right? I said I'm sorry." But yeah, I don't think I could. I don't know. I don't know if I would do it.
Well, and we're still watching Gilmore Girls.
Oh, I've seen all of Gilmore Girls now. As of
When did you start and when did you finish?
I've.
This is going to be a very telling answer if it's not more than 6 months.
Wait, from.
Oh, you saw it when it was on?
No, I saw it like as of like a few months ago.
We started
I've
it
only just watched it.
when Taylor was super pregnant, because it's like her little emotional support movie.
Yeah,
Because her and her mom had a little Lorelai Rory situation going on.
it's a big comfort show for a lot of folks.
But we got like 3 seasons in, not realizing that there were 700 hours of Gilmore Girls available.
There's a lot.
Most of the episodes interchangeable. You can skip 3 or 4, hear one sentence, and be like, "I'm back on track."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, new guy, his name's this. You're like, deal.
Yeah,
But we just got to where Luke and Lorelai get together. And,
good.
Boy, are we
it's about
excited.
goddamn time.
About goddamn time. I know this happened in 2011.
Yeah,
But I've been waiting months for this.
but if they wouldn't have, I would have killed myself.
We
2
were
weeks
laughing.
ago,
We were like-
however long ago it was.
Because we don't
that
remember
I
how the
watched.
show ended. And so we're like, if
I know now.
in the last season or 2, if they break up, I think we're turning it off. If Chris comes back into the picture, that piece of shit.
Oh, that fucking guy.
That
Chris. Oh, Chris. That son of a bitch. It's always something with him,
It's always
you know?
something with him. Just take care of your daughter. How about that, Chris? All
Yeah.
right?
You act like this hostility from Rory's coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Fuck
Grow
out of
up.
here. Chris,
Grow up. Grow
don't
up.
let me catch you in the streets, Chris.
Yeah, early 2000s TV star.
Guy from...
Or what is it? Edward Herman, the dad, is always listed as a special appearance.
Yeah,
Even though
weird.
he's in 90% of
Great
the episodes.
voice. That
Yeah,
guy
great
has voice like syrup. I was also another thing that was funny. I was watching. Right now, we've been watching a lot of 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days. Hilarious and at the same time crushingly sad that these are real people.
That's one of the reality ones where I can get behind that 90. It's all like fake. It's reality TV. It's semi-scripted of like making it, and people know what to do. Where it's like the housewives know if they act
they know
crazy,
how to play the character.
then the TV show lasts longer. Everyone makes way more money for longer. So they amp it up. But those ones, especially the early seasons where it seems real, and it's just people being bummers.
Yeah.
Just sad, lonely people.
That are just, and the most scammable of all time. And you're just watching them get scammed in real time. And you're like, can the production team stop this? Is there rules like there is in nature documentaries where you're not allowed to step in?
Yeah.
Because this is horrible to watch.
Please throw in the towel.
We are watching a pretty 20-year-old Ukrainian girl just bleed this man to death just over the course of a few months.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were watching 90 Day Fiance. We were watching 90 Day Fiance, and then my girlfriend fell asleep, so I stopped it because she'll fall asleep, and then I'll continue watching, and then something crazy will happen, and I'll realize, I'll be like, oh shit, I have to save this part. So I turn it off, and I turned on First 48. The First 48 is an episode called Cranked. It was about a man who got jacked off to death. It wasn't. It was about meth. It was about a meth-fueled murder. It was really horrible. This guy stabbed this other guy in the neck. And so my girlfriend wakes up to she falls asleep to 90 Day Fiance and then wakes up to a 911 call of a guy going, holy shit, some guy just got stabbed in the neck. He's bleeding to death on the sidewalk. And Celine's just like, how much 90 Day Fiance did I? She's like, still half asleep. She's like, what did I miss?
Yeah.
This
is a wild ass episode.
I mean, the relationship wasn't going great before, but this.
He finally had enough.
Yeah. So that was pretty funny. She fully thought it was like, oh my God, this is a wild episode.
Yeah.
For like, that first like 30 seconds when you wake up and you have no idea what's going on. Good time.
See you guys next time.
Shout out Chris Christopherson. We love you. R.I.P.